The morning after the storm, the city looked reborn, washed clean, but not renewed. The streets glistened with oil and rainwater, and the courthouse flag clung to its pole, too soaked to flutter. Inside his apartment, Julian Cross sat motionless at his kitchen table, watching a thin curl of steam rise from a coffee cup he hadn't touched. The ticking had followed him home. It lived now in the walls of his mind, patient, methodical, like something counting down. He hadn't slept, not really. Every time he drifted into unconsciousness, he dreamed of corridors lined with mirrors. Each mirror showed him winning another case, shaking hands, smiling for the cameras. But as he walked further, each reflection lagged behind, until the last one stayed completely still, grinning with a mouth full of black teeth. He stopped dreaming after that. The morning news whispered from the television in the next room. The words were faint but heavy. Another death. The second client. Same mark, same silence. Julian's coffee went cold. He rose, slow and deliberate, and moved to the window. Below, the city pulsed like an exposed nerve. Taxis, sirens, umbrellas spinning in a storm that never truly ended. Somewhere in that rhythm, he heard the ticking again, perfectly in sync with his pulse. By noon, he was back at his office. The air inside was colder than it should have been, and the scent of iron still lingered, faint but there. The symbol on his wall had darkened overnight, not black now, but deep red, as if freshly drawn. He ran his hand across the surface again. This time the wall was warm. On his desk lay a new file. He hadn't left it there. The folder was plain, unmarked, sealed with a strip of black wax. He hesitated, then broke it open. Inside, a single photograph. A man he'd never seen before, standing outside a decaying motel on the outskirts of the city. In the background, scrawled across the wall in dripping red paint, was the same symbol, the circle and the 3 slashes. Beneath the photo, typed in small letters, were the words, "Your next client awaits." Julian stared for a long time. His name wasn't on the file. There was no sender, no case summary, nothing that should exist within the logic of the legal world. And yet somewhere deep inside him, he felt compelled to go. He checked the address. It wasn't far. A 20-minute drive if the traffic behaved. The motel was the kind of place that had outlived its purpose decades ago. The paint peeling, the neon sign flickering between vacancy and antsy. The air smelled of rust and something older, something sweet and rotting beneath the rain. He stepped out of his car, every nerve alert. The ticking had gone quiet. Not gone, just waiting. Room 11. He found the number carved faintly into the doorframe. The door was slightly ajar. He pushed it open. Inside, the curtains were drawn, the air heavy with damp. A chair stood in the center of the room, and in that chair sat the man from the photograph, motionless, pale. Julian's breath caught. The man's eyes were open, staring at nothing, a faint red mark carved into his wrist, identical to the others. On the table beside him lay another envelope, red, unsealed. Julian opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Balance collection in progress. You are both creditor and debtor. For a moment, the words didn't make sense. Then something behind him moved, a faint scraping like nails dragging slowly across wood. He turned. No one was there. The ticking began again, this time closer, clearer, coming from beneath the floorboards. He knelt, pressing his ear to the ground. The sound was unmistakable now, a clock buried below, its rhythm syncopated with his own heartbeat. He stood abruptly, backing toward the door, but the handle refused to turn. It was cold, colder than metal should ever be. Behind him, the chair creaked. The dead man's head tilted. Not much, just enough for the eyes to find him. He froze. The corpse's mouth opened slightly, a faint wheeze escaping, like the last breath of something that should have stayed buried. From that sound came a whisper, not words but numbers, counting down. The light flickered, the walls pulsed, and when the bulb above him burst, the room went black. He didn't remember driving home, only the sound of the windshield wipers and the faint echo of ticking in his chest. When he finally reached his apartment, the lights refused to turn on. The air was colder than the rain outside. On the dining table, his reflection waited in the window again. Only this time, he wasn't alone. A second figure stood behind him, blurred, tall, its face obscured by shadow. In its hand, a single pen dripped something dark. He turned, heart pounding. Nothing. When he faced the window again, the figure was gone. But words had appeared across the glass, drawn by unseen fingers in the condensation. Every signature is a promise. Below the words, a fresh symbol bloomed, a circle and 3 slashes. And for the first time, Julian noticed something new beneath it, a faint, smudged fingerprint, his own. That night, the ticking became a melody, faint at first, but structured, repeating, almost human. He recorded it on his phone, hoping to prove it was real. But when he played it back, there was no ticking, only a voice, his own voice, repeating the same phrase over and over. I will win, no matter the cost. He dropped the phone. The screen cracked. The sound continued even after it powered off. Outside, the city thundered again, neon bleeding into puddles like veins. Julian sat on the floor, staring at his trembling hands. The symbols were spreading now, faint lines creeping up his wrists like vines. He realized then that this wasn't a haunting, it was bookkeeping, and his balance was coming due.